graduated 4.0 from USC, and I'm intelligent and I'm a writer, and there's so much more than like my hair color. And I think women deal with that a lot in this industry. And I just started to say, this is what I am. This is who I have to offer. I'm not going to change for anyone. And I honestly think that's when more doors started opening up for me, because I just said, take it or leave it. I'm not going to change myself for you.
Hello again, everybody. This is Jordan Murphy, and welcome to Breakthroughs with Jordan Murphy. This is the show that has conversations about the defining moments that shape our lives. That's what we talk about on the show. And today's episode is sponsored by Audible. You know what, actually, I've come to discover is that I'm more of an auditory learner. I like to listen to stuff more than I like to read it. And the listening to it seems to sink into my thick skull better than reading it. So for a limited time, you can try Audible and get 2 free audiobooks. You just visit my website, breakthroughswithjordanmurphy.com, and follow the link on the homepage to take advantage of this sweet deal. This episode is also brought to you by Amazon Fresh. Now, if you're like me and you have a busy schedule, then Amazon Fresh could be the answer. I mean, it's the answer for me. It's super easy. It's super convenient. So skip the checkout line and have fresh groceries delivered to your door. This is a limited time offer. You just got to visit breakthroughswithjordanmurphy.com to get the $25 off your first order using Amazon Fresh. On my show today, my guest is Brooke Butler. And let me just start by saying that Brooke Butler, as far as I'm concerned, is a genuinely sweet person from the inside out. And I say that really because if you've met her or if you've seen her work, you know, you're immediately struck by her beauty, right? The external. But I want to say I had the pleasure of working with you, Brooke, on a film last year.
Yeah.
And there's just a genuine kindness and a sweet nature that I was struck by, you know, like it comes across to me like it's so easy. Well, first of all, welcome. Thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. You know, it's so easy when in this business we end up meeting lots of very attractive people on the outside, right? And sometimes that outside doesn't match the inside. And, you know, someone like you who is so pretty on the outside, it's easy to kind of miss the inside. We get kind of stopped by the external package. And sometimes that external package sometimes brings with it not such a nice inside. I was pleasantly surprised to meet a genuinely sweet person, pretty person, inside and out.
Thank you.
Yes. So, enough gushing. So now Brooke can be seen in one of my favorite new, Netflix shows, and I'm kind of a junkie, but Ozark, season 2, which is exciting. And you might have known her for, her some of her screen queen, appearances in, All Cheerleaders Die, for example. And, you know, it's funny. We talked about this yesterday, Brooke, and I was thinking, you know, is screen queen the appropriate term? And, you know, you portray the quote unquote mean girl.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And it's just so against you. And I just wondered, you know, was that fun?
Yeah, it's always fun to, you know, take on a different personality and different human. That's why we do it. You know? It's because we have an interest in other people. But I've always tried to, anytime I have a character like that, to find why they're like that. Right. Because usually it's because they're very hurt people. Yeah,
exactly. We want to find sympathy for our character, not hate our character. We got to fall in love with our character, whether it's evil or not.
Totally, because an evil character never thinks they're evil. They think they're doing the right thing.
That's right. That's right. So you're originally from Washington, right?
That's right, Seattle.
Seattle, and you graduated USC.
I did.
As an actress, studied theater arts.
Yes.
Right. So obviously, acting has been in your bones for a little while now. What was it that inspired acting originally?
Oh my gosh. Well, my mom says, you know, and moms are always right, apparently.
That's right.
My mom said from the beginning that I would sing in the crib. And she's like, I always knew. And my mom said she would put sunglasses on me and I would always go, I'm Hollywood. When I was little. And then I just...
Did you even know what Hollywood meant?
Oh, of course not. I mean, I also used to go around telling everyone I was a dork because my brother would tell me that and I believed him. So
Right. Very impressionable.
Yes.
Oh, you know what's so funny? You said singing from a young age, and I can't believe this didn't even come up in a conversation with us when we were working in Big Bear, like trapped in that ski lodge for 10 days.
Oh yeah.
We were totally blessed though. I mean, that was a really great group of people to be stuck with for 10 days.
Literally one of the best. I think our group even our director said that it was one of the best groups he'd work with as a whole.
That's right.
We just got along so well.
Winter Wedding. Winter Wedding, ladies and gentlemen. Run out now and find it. I don't know where it is right now because it was on Up, the network Up, which I didn't even know existed, to be quite honest, until I found out we were going to be on it.
Apparently, I get texts all the time. I'm like, really? It's like dead. It's the middle of summer.
It's still playing.
People love it.
It's still airing. Oh, that's fantastic. You know, honestly, there's obviously an audience for it. I told people about it too. It is so saccharine, sweet, and no conflict hardly, that people really eat that up. It's easy to digest, But what I was going to say is, it was interesting to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, but my daughter in the movie, your best friend in the movie, Andrea Bowen, was actually one of the youngest Cosettes in Les Mis. And then I find out you did Les Mis also.
I did. Well, I mean, I was like a small part, but it was my very first production I was on stage in Seattle. I was so young. Gosh, I want to say like 13.
Uh-huh.
And I just found a way to audition for it and got a part. And my parents were like, what? I was like, yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm like 13. But it was a great experience. I think I knew from then on out that that's what I wanted to do. But it was because I saw Phantom of the Opera, my very favorite musical production, when I was really young. My parents took me because my parents are big into the arts, even though they have no true connection to it. And I think I cried my eyes out at like 8 years old watching Christine. And I was like, I want to make people feel the way that she makes people feel. And that's kind of how I've looked at acting. It's no matter what's happening in the world, people need to escape the real world and they go and watch a theater production or a movie or a TV show, and it can kind of transcend time. And it's been something that is always there to bring joy, and that's why I love it.
I completely agree. I mean, I was moved very early on myself with theater and films and watching films and being moved by theater or films and going, whoa, this is happening to me. I want to do this to other people. I want to be able to impact other people. And, obviously people go and watch shows like Phantom or Les Mis or any quality piece of content to be moved in some fashion, whether they're conscious of it or not. You go and you see a great production and you're moved because it's phenomenal, period, or unless you don't have a pulse. But having that experience of being transported and being transformed emotionally and psychologically and getting to kind of disappear and time stops and to be a part of that. I don't want to be I don't want to say I'm at the source of it because that makes me sound like I'm doing it, but like being a part of it, being a part of that agreement that we have in that time, in that theater, when that's what we say we're going to do. I'm going to entertain you. I'm going to tell you a story. You're going to listen, and it goes back and forth. It's symbiotic.
I mean, it's one of the oldest professions in the world is storytelling.
That's right.
So
you always wanted to be an actress. You've always been a little actress.
Always. I don't know what I would do. There is no plan B, which is terrifying. So I better work hard.
Well, okay, let's talk about that then. Okay, so obviously you want to do it at a very, very young age. You get into USC, one of the most prominent, entertainment industry schools.
That was my parents. My parents, they're very supportive, but I think they're supportive because they've been able to see that, I can do it and love it. And they said, not without your education.
Right.
You have to go to college.
That's
they were
right.
big on that. And I said, fine, then I'm going to go, to college at one of the best film theater schools in the world. And I think at 13, I visited USC because my brother went there and played ball as well. So I was able to see it. And from then on there, I think I wrote it in my room as a teenager. And that's where I wanted to go. And I set my goals on it. And And I did. I got
That's really
in,
great, though.
it.
Just I want to stop for a second. You said you wrote it in your room. Did you like create an affirmation for yourself?
Oh, yeah. I do that all the time.
I love that. I love that. No, I'm a huge promoter of that practice, and I really do believe it. And what's so great about it is that you were doing it at such a young age, because I have 3 kids, and I share with them. I'm like, you're probably going to get sick and tired of dad suggesting this to you, but I'm telling you, you're going to thank me in the long run. Because if I had started doing what I'm doing now when it comes to affirmations and visualizations and meditation,
oh my gosh, yeah.
at their age, I mean, we're unstoppable. We don't realize how powerful we really are.
Yeah. You know, I have my brother to thank, because I had this whiteboard in my room growing up, and I always looked up to my brother. He's 6 years older, very successful, great family. And he came into my room and wrote on my whiteboard, "The small things make the big things happen." And I remember, like, I kept it there, I think, like, all of my teenage years. And I was like, what does that mean? What does that mean? And I think he just meant focus on taking one little step at a time. And before you know it, you'll look back and you'll just have like this pile of great things that you've done.
That's right.
And so I've always just tried to live like that. Because in this industry, you can look too far ahead or start comparing. And you can't do that. Because you can only take one step, every day. And just that's all you can do.
Well, wasn't it Steve Jobs? I gotta like listen to his address that he did. I wasn't sure if it was actually at USC, but he did it a commencement speech, Steve Jobs. And he talks about connecting the dots. You can't connect the dots forward, but you can connect them backwards. You can look back and say, oh my God, look at all those amazing stepping stones. Look at all those amazing, like you said, little moves. Those little steps you took that ultimately created where you are today.
Even if they're bad steps.
Totally.
Honestly, yeah.
In fact, I invite some bad steps along the way. I think we learn mostly from failure, unfortunately.
Yep. I've definitely done that.
So tell me about your experience getting into acting. Now, obviously, you moved down to Los Angeles, which is a step in the right direction, obviously. You'd started in Seattle, but you got down to Los Angeles to where, obviously, the entertainment industry is relatively centered. And then you get into school, you study in school. But as far as a profession is concerned, why don't you tell me how that began and started? Yeah,
I think one of the biggest lessons I've learned over time, and even to this day, is I get easily distracted, I think. So when I got to USC, because I had worked so hard and done so many theater productions in high school that I had no life. I mean, as far as like friends and things go. So I joined the cheer team at USC, and I loved that. And then I think it was my junior year, I had done Shakespeare all through my time at USC, and Mary Joan Negro, my professor, pulled me aside, and I was like in my uniform going to like a pep rally or something. And she said, "You are an actress. You are not a cheerleader." And she said, "You need to make a decision." And I was like, oh my God, I need to make, and I think literally from there, I think I quit the cheer team and started focusing back on my acting.
What's her name? What was her name?
Mary Joan Negro.
Isn't that great though? Those people in our lives, I think we're all angels for each other. Occasionally, hopefully,
Yeah.
But those people come into our lives and just plant that kind of seed, and you can see that as literally a fork on the road.
I mean, whether she remembers that or not, she had a huge impact on me. Yeah.
But those are those little defining moments. Yeah,
because I think I had a choice to go cheer for Stanford and do like that huge thing that they do for the weekender there, or I had a final Shakespeare performance in her class, and I went and told her, I think I can't do the final performance, blah, blah, and that's when she was like, make your choice. And I was like, oh my God. And I went home, and I think I missed it, and I did my final Shakespeare performance. And
wow.
Yeah. So that was when I think I refocused. And
good stuff. So it's so funny you say, you had that option where you had to kind of choose, like, okay, I'm having this success as a cheerleader, but I'm also having this joy and success as an actress. When I was in high school, I was doing the jock route early on, not particularly successfully, but I was doing it, and I played like freshman football, and then I started doing baseball, and I thought for sure I was going to be this like cleanup pitcher on the baseball team, and I was going to be all that. clearly the universe had other plans. I was cut like in the third round from the team and just devastated. And I remember leaving the field and walking up to, go home and seeing a sign for auditions for the stage performance for the fall. And the buddy of mine, one of the other guys who I got cut with was like, I don't know, you want to check it out? I don't know, you want to go? All right. And I was like, all right. I mean, maybe there's some girls there. And
cute girls, yeah.
yeah. And we went in and I never turned back. I literally got cast and I never turned back. I did theater all through high school. I got a bachelor's degree, got a scholarship in acting.
Wow.
I mean, I literally just didn't turn back, but I didn't have the choice. I guess I could have not gone on audition, but I didn't have to choose like, oh, I'm going to the championship baseball. No. I was cut.
John Krasinski has the same story in college, that he wanted to walk onto the basketball team, and he walked in and he's like, nope, they're way too good, way too big, and walked out and saw, I think, an audition to do like an improv group or something.
Right.
And it just took off from there. Yeah. It's a great story. Yeah.
So all right. So then you make the choice to stay on the path of acting, and you graduate from USC.
I did.
Then what?
Oh gosh. I think I was in a film class, and a manager came and spoke to the class, and I was like, I'm going to corner her in the bathroom. Anyways, I did, and I ended up working with her for some time. She was lovely.
That's so fun. So wait a minute. So you're in the class, and this woman comes to talk to a bunch of USC grads or, students, and you are in the bathroom doing. Yeah,
I was crazy. I corner her in the bathroom, and I'm like, let's take a meeting.
Awesome.
Oh, no shame. Anyways, I worked with her for a bit and had some pretty great success early on. And again, I think that thing creeped in of, getting distracted. And I kind of had all this success and was like, oh, this is easy. And then
explain to me, what is all this success? What is that?
I mean, not anything super great, but I mean, I was booking and I was working and I did CSI, and then I booked, all cheerleaders, and we were premiering at TIFF and on E! News and doing all this stuff, and in Deadline and Hollywood Reporter. And I was like, oh, this is easy. Isn't this like how it is for everybody? And then I stopped working super hard and stopped taking my acting class. And slowly but surely I got distracted, with dating or whatever. And I literally lost everything like a few years ago, where I had no reps, and I was like, oh my gosh, I don't have money right now. And what am I going to do? And I think I sat down with my parents and said, I think I need to quit and get a real job and take care of myself. And my mom was like, she was such a supporter of me, and she was like, whatever you need to do. She's like, why don't you just take some time off? And then I think I slept on it and prayed on it. And I think I reached out to so many agencies and was just denied. And I'm going, what? I have a movie on Netflix and I have a show playing on Lifetime. And I was like, how is this possible?
How is that possible? What was the answer? Why were people turning you down? Why did they say they were turning you down?
Too many girls like me, too many girls, or, what have you. And,
right.
But I think it was a lesson in humility and to work harder. So I sat down and I said, okay, well, where can I rebuild? And I ended up seeing how many productions were going to Atlanta. And this was a story. I was like, oh man, do I share this? I was like, but I guess I felt like I got to, because who knows who it will affect. And I moved to Atlanta for a year and a half. And I just refocused, and I started writing, and I got into classes, and I cut out my social life. And I said, if this is what I want, what am I willing to sacrifice? And I realized I was willing to sacrifice everything. And I ended up being there and I worked on Star, and I worked on Being Mary Jane, and I did a Whitney Houston biopic, and then I ended up shooting The Resident, and then I ended up shooting Ozark, and then before long, I was getting calls from LA reps to come back and wanted to be represented and get back out here. Mm-hmm. And, part of that, I'm like, oh, is that an embarrassing story that I was getting so denied in Los Angeles that I had to move somewhere else? But I think it shows how much I was I love it, that I was willing to figure out what I needed to do. And I built.
I don't think it's embarrassing. I don't think it's embarrassing at all.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have perspective on it, right? Like being able to step outside and look at it. If you were observing somebody else doing that, what would you say?
I'd be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they had the balls to do that.
Exactly. We're so tough on ourselves, though. We're so tough on ourselves.
Yeah.
But if you can have that perspective, I mean, when probably 99, 2000, something like that. I basically had been in Los Angeles for like 7 years, and I was going seemingly nowhere fast. And I was doing theater and things like that, but nonetheless, I got to 7 years and looked back and was kind of like, okay, I'm not achieving what I should be achieving. And I kind of gave myself that 7-year checkpoint, which is kind of like, I called it like the 7th inning stretch, where you, you get up and you decide, am I staying for the rest of the game or am I calling it and going home and beating the traffic? Right. And I literally was 7 years in and I thought, okay, I don't have a great deal to write home about, but I need to choose. I need to say, what am I willing to do to stick this out? Or am I not willing to do to stick this out? Right? I mean, bottom line, that's kind of like what you said. You were willing to sacrifice it all. And I was broke. I was, but bottom line, I literally said to myself, I am going to do whatever it takes to make this work. And I don't know what that is. All I know is if it means I have to take another job or 2 jobs or 3, whatever, I'm going to do what it takes to make this work. And I kind of re-instilled myself or kind of cemented myself in Los Angeles, got another job. And the crazy thing is that I was auditioning, and this was at the kind of the dawn of the reality TV craziness, right? And it was pretty much, you were either a game show host, like Bob Barker kind of thing, or there was this new guy, Jeff Probst, on this new show called Survivor. That was about it at the time. And I was auditioning for these hosting positions and kind of doing, and I'd gone in for an audition, and I was literally had a job. I was auditioning for a job to be a character kids love, which means if you're hired, you get hired to be a character kids love at somebody's birthday party. So you're the Flash or you're James Bond or you're Elmo, right? In like saggy pajama uniform, that guy, right? Yeah. And I had gone in to train for 2 days, and I had an audition, and I got a call from my agent while I was in this training during the day. They said, you got booked on a series on this network, USA. Again, this was a long time ago. USA was a young network at the time. You booked 12 episodes as a host of this series, a co-host of this series. And I was like, oh my God. And they told me how much it was. And I was like, sign me up, sucker. And
get me out of here.
It was like $5. You know what I mean? It was like, literally, I'm like, money on TV? Sure. And my agent sat me, he's like, shut up. I'd never negotiated a contract in my life. I didn't know to say no. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And thank God I had a good agent. And I passed on the job. Of course, they came back with more money. I passed on the job again. We did the negotiation dance. And meanwhile, I'm still training to be a character kids love.
That's the best.
Because I don't know. Maybe I don't know. What if I burn this thing? What if it goes south? What if they tell me to go fuck myself? I don't know. I've never done this. And I literally, on a Tuesday night, went in after back and forth several times. And I told my agent, I remember sitting in my car in Culver City and saying, listen, tell them this is what we want. Take it or leave it. I didn't say take it or leave it. That sounds totally cocky. I don't know where I got the balls, but I, at that point, was like, hey, what have I got to lose? You know what I mean? And I trusted that he wasn't going to burn it. And I hung up the phone and I went in to complete my training as a character kids love. Balloon animals, doing stories. And I literally was sitting in a circle of other struggling actors. And I had a Winnie the Pooh head on. And I was doing a story as Winnie the Pooh, and my phone rang. And I took the Winnie the Pooh head off, placed it gently on the floor, took my phone, excused myself politely, walked outside, and it was my agent and my manager on the phone. They said, congratulations, they took the deal.
Oh, that makes me so happy.
Twice as much as they had originally offered. 12 episodes turned into 120 episodes, 4 years. I mean, it was one of those like just pivots in my career, but it was kind of, this is me monologuing. This is what I do. I monologue. I invite people onto my show and then I just talk. No.
I love it. I'm listening.
No, but I'm saying that because I identify with what you were saying, which is you were willing to do whatever it took. And it paid off.
I mean, yeah, it was hard though, because I left a relationship where I thought I was going to marry the person, and I lost that, and I lost my reps, and I left everything, and I was like, okay.
Now what?
Let's do it. But yeah, I'm so thankful for it now. I look back and I think it was one of the best years of my life now. So
when you stick your neck out there, and especially I think when you are doing something that you're meant to be doing, the universe has a way of showing up and supporting you. I believe. Yeah. And you said you thought on it, you prayed on it. I think we all, in some way, shape, or form, having a connection with source, having a connection with higher power, God, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And relying on that, and trusting that you're not alone.
Well, yeah, I prayed big time. I mean, I remember I was about to do the move and then I panicked, and then a couple months went by and I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. And I got down on my hands and knees and I said, God, if this is what I'm supposed to do, I was like, I need you to give me a clear sign right now. I was like, I'll do it. Just give me a clear sign. Speak to me.
Yeah, I'm a little dense, so make it obvious.
I woke up the next morning and I'm a very clean person. And I stepped out of my bed and I stepped on a quarter, which, there's not usually stuff on my floor. I picked it up. It was a Georgia quarter. Wow. And then I went to a yoga class, and my teacher of the yoga class was wearing a black shirt that said Atlanta across his chest in red letters.
Wow.
And then I was like, okay. And the next week I moved, not the next week. And then I said, okay, God, give me the funds to be able to move. I booked 2 national commercials that week.
Wow.
Did the commercials and then moved. And my first week there, booked a co-star on the show Star on Fox.
Beautiful.
So I said, okay, God, you did it.
Message received.
And this, continued to dedicate myself to it from then on there. And I don't know if I'm doing the right thing or not. I'm just, taking the little
So
step.
when you kind of already answered my question, but I'm just curious just to kind of make it complete. But so when you get overwhelmed or caught up in your own struggle, anxiety, fears, doubts, worries, all that stuff that we humans do, what do you do? What do you rely on to find some sanity?
I mean, I'm a fairly faithful person, so I just was like, God, this is you. Yeah. You got it now.
Take the wheel.
Yeah. And I fall back on that. I mean, I have a very loving family who I talk to all the time. And I'm a big reader. So I went to like a Barnes & Noble and I was like, okay, God, give me a book to read. I literally did the thing where you run your fingers along like 1,000 books.
Yeah,
and I grabbed one. And it was this book called Detours by Tony Evans. Huh. And I know you asked me if there's like a book that I give as a gift. I give this book to everybody. Anyone who's listening to this who knows me is like, oh gosh, she gave me that book.
Were you in the self-help section on purpose, or?
I don't think so. I think it was the religious section, but I honestly didn't even know that I was in it. I think I just went through all the sections.
Oh, okay, got it.
This one's pretty.
This one's pretty. Look by the cover.
I know, yeah, right. Whoops. Which is what I try to avoid my whole life. But,
I'm kidding.
But the concept that I read in this book was so great, and it tells this metaphor of this little girl who collects dimes. And she wanted to collect more dimes, and she went to her dad. And she said, Dad, I want more dimes for my dime collection. And he loved his daughter so much. He's like feeling in his pockets. He doesn't have anything, and he has a $20 bill. And he goes, honey, I'm sorry I don't have any dimes, but here's a 20. And the girl starts crying and crying and crying and saying, why don't you love me? Where's the dimes? And he said, honey, don't you realize how many dimes you can have with this $20 bill? And the whole concept is that we usually only want what we know. And we don't realize that the universe, God, what have you, whatever you believe in, is sometimes like, hey, shut up. I'm trying to give you a 20 here and you're collecting dimes. So it's the whole idea of opening yourself up, to the unknown, because maybe the world's trying to hand you something way greater than you've ever expected.
Totally. Wasn't there another story about the man in the flood and he says, please, God, save me? Yeah. And the guy comes by with a boat and he's like, no, I'm waiting for this.
And a helicopter and
exactly.
To heaven. He's like, God, why didn't you save me? And God's like, I sent you a boat, a helicopter.
Totally.
Why didn't you take any of it?
Seriously. And that's it's so true. And I think that we get caught up in running our lives by what we know.
Totally.
And what's so amazing, and I've done, personal professional training and development courses over the years, and I'm kind of a glutton for that kind of information. And one of them I remember sharing, kind of one of the introduction concepts to it, was the idea that if you think about everything there is to know in the known universe, right? You ask yourself, how much of it do you think you know? It's a sliver of, if you draw a big circle, it'd be like a sliver. I mean, but that's what you know, right?
Yeah.
And you know it. So like, you know how to drive a car, you know how to speak English, you know how to put your clothes on, but you know how to do those things, right?
Yeah.
Then there's another sliver of what you don't know, right? And there's, I don't know how to speak Swahili or to dismantle an ICBM missile or, but I know I don't know that, right? So most human beings with these two little slivers of knowledge, right, spend our entire existence taking what we know we don't know and putting new information into the know category. So I don't know how to speak Swahili. Well, I can learn how to. So now I know that, but we're living within this very limited space, right? So what is there left in that space of that circle is what we don't know. So tell me something you don't know. Well, you can't, because you don't know it. You don't know, you don't even know you don't know it. So the idea of her not knowing how many dimes are in a $20 bill is something she doesn't know. But imagine if you had access to that space. And I think that's what, as human beings, I hope, and I would hope for anybody out there, is to try to explore and find ways to discover what you don't know. Be open to it.
Yeah, well, that's what's so great about, the arts in general. And I believe to be successful in the arts, you have to have a love of humankind and an interest in humans. And that's why, moving and some of the traveling that I did over the last year by myself, traveled Europe. You meet people, and if you're interested in them, you just learn so much, and you gain this wealth of knowledge of things you didn't know. And you can just use that in your art. And that's one of my favorite parts about being in this industry is I find people fascinating, and I like, why are they that way? And how did that happen? And it's just, if you are willing to open your eyes and ears and listen to people's stories, which obviously you are, which is why you're doing this. I mean, your world just grows and grows and grows. And it's the best part of it.
Completely. What is it? Obviously, you have had success. You're a young actress. You've obviously been confronted by the ego, right? Obviously, I got this handled. This is an upward trajectory. Here I go. Watch me. And then,
Yep, of course.
And then you fell on your face. Is there any consistent fears or doubts or things that you just kind of have to continue to bump into that you're still working on that?
I mean, every day. And I think anyone who says they're not facing self-doubt every day is somewhat lying to themselves.
What would be an example?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I think, as females, I'm like, oh, am I skinny enough? Am I pretty enough? Oh, am I good enough? And, am I portraying this the right way? And I just, in the past year of this self-discovery journey I've kind of gone on, I've realized, you want to know what? I am who I am. I can only give what I can give. And there's a reason that I am the way that I am. And that's good enough. And I just tell
that's the key right there. That's good enough. And that's the biggest one I think that we forget. You're enough.
Yeah. And also there's this other book I like called Big Magic, and it's by the same author as Eat, Pray, Love. And she talks about how if you're a writer and you go to write a story and people are like, oh, well, it's a cliche, I'm not going to write it, or it's been done. She's like, all the stories are the same stories and they're done over and over and over again, but they've never been done the way you're going to do them.
That's right.
And that's what makes you different.
That's right.
And, not that my fears don't creep in and the little like man on your shoulder is like, well, let me tell you what you are. And then you just have to like flick them off and be like, yeah, but I am what I am. That's, all I can do.
I think that is the exercise, is having the ability to distinguish between the ego talking to you and to your true self talking to you.
Yeah.
And being able to distinguish between the two. That's, I find to be sometimes tricky, but I think it comes with practice. And I think that you start to hear that critical, judgmental conversation, and then I ask myself when that lovely conversation starts to happen is, how am I feeling right now in this conversation? With this,
not good, right?
Right, man, that was terrible. When you went in there and you said that thing and you delivered the line that way, and I mean, what were you wearing? I mean, it was like, shut the fuck up. I mean, it's literally, you kind of have to scratch the record. You literally have to stop that conversation and say, back up. I don't have time for you. You have no power over me. But it literally is a conscious.
It is.
It's a conscious mindfulness. But it takes practice.
But also being able to be okay with who you are. Because for example, this is, I don't even know if this is a great thing to say, but I'm a natural blonde. I am a green-eyed blonde girl. And I have been told to dye my hair dark by a therapist who told me once, well, people aren't going to think you're smart, so you should dye your hair dark.
Did you stop seeing that therapist?
I've had I was one time. I was like, okay, bye. Never saw a therapist ever again. And then I've had agents and reps and like, well, blondes aren't working right now. And I'm like, and so I once dyed my hair dark and which is fine. I loved it, but it wasn't who I was. And the point is, I am who I am. I'm not going to try to change for anyone, because then I won't be being authentic.
Right.
And I need to feel like I'm my best self. And you want to know what? That when I started feeling that way, it didn't end up becoming about the looks. It is starting to now become about, I'm actually, graduated 4.0 from USC, and I'm intelligent, and I'm a writer, and there's so much more than like my hair color. And I think women deal with that a lot in this industry. And I just started to say, this is what I am. This is who I have to offer. I'm not going to change for anyone. And I honestly think that's when more doors started opening up for me, because I just said, take it or leave it. I'm not going to change myself for you.
There really is something to be said about just kind of reclaiming who you are and not apologizing for it. Yeah. And it does take courage, especially when in this industry, when you're trying to get it right, when you're trying to get the yes, when you're trying to get booking, and like maybe you're not booking as much, you're like, oh, I must be doing something wrong, so I need to fix it. And that's unfortunately, I think, a pitfall. And I think it's great that you had the wherewithal. And I'm just, kind of just looking back here around, the breakthrough for you, it sounds to me is your path could have gone the way of, this is easy. You could have just kept on being the actress who just had a charmed life, right? And it would have been a very different existence, perhaps. You might not have had the awakening or the realizations that you've had if things had gone smoother. But they didn't.
I'm thankful for that.
Totally.
Because the depth that it has brought to me as a human, and the awareness and people that I've been able to meet, I mean, I'm just like so thankful for it, especially, at a younger age, being able to have that wealth of knowledge and wanting to continue growing it.
Yeah.
I'm happy for all the things that went wrong. And, I don't say that in a way to be like, I'm so glad, because they were hard and they were hurtful. And there were days where I was like full of pain, but you can't see the light without the dark. And
that's right.
I'm just so glad I went through some of those really horrible times.
Yeah.
Where I was just denied, and, lost what I thought was the love of my life and lost all these things, only to realize there was actually better waiting for me. There was a $20 bill waiting for me, and I just had to give up the 10 cents.
Yep, completely. What would you say, considering you're on the path of being a successful working actor, and it sounds to me like you're the kind of person who has a vision for where you're going. What is your ideal acting gig?
Oh my gosh.
Like if you were doing something right now and you would think, oh my God, not I've arrived, like I'm done, but you've reached a place where, yeah, this is where I belong right now. Other than the fact that I know you are exactly where you belong right now.
No, yeah.
But you know what I mean?
For me, I don't care about any of the limelight or stuff. I would just like to work and have it be my living.
Yeah.
I actually think the role that I just did on Ozark, and obviously I don't think I can say too much, but I finally, and I talked to the showrunner a little bit, he was like, we watched your audition. He was like, you just had the right energy and you brought the right thing to it. And I finally was not playing the ingenue, because I feel like who I am inside is so different than what I look like. Mm-hmm. And that has been my struggle with acting, is I feel like I finally just got to play this like darker character who, like, she talked down here and like she had just this depth and like she took what she wanted, and I just love, and that she was dirty and she didn't wear like a lot of makeup, and
yeah.
It was just so nice to not play like the queen bee of the school who's like sassy and 19, and which is great. I mean, if they want to pay me, anyone listening, I'll do it. But
yeah, well, I mean, exactly. That's like your niche. That's an easy fit.
Yeah, it's just nice to do something that makes you delve deeper. And I'm a method actor. I'm all about like sensory and that kind of work. And I do that every morning and grow that toolkit. So getting to use all those things was just, it's just the best feeling when you're on set.
It really is. Like I said, I've done a lot of reality TV hosting, which I'm grateful for. It paid well, not very difficult work, but not very deep. And so having an opportunity to book scripted content when it's just a great character that you can sink your teeth into, there's nothing quite like it, because we get to bring, like you said, we really get to bring our whole toolbox and actually use it. And that there's, I mean, I will say, like, I would do this for no money. Well, I've done that. I've actually done that, and I'm actually kind of done doing that.
Yeah.
But I did theater for years. Yeah. For free.
For nothing. Yeah.
And I was happy. So fulfilled, because I was just, because that's what we are here to do. That's what we're supposed to be doing. So you mentioned the book, which is fantastic. In the last 5 years, you obviously have had what sounds to be like a substantial transition on a number of levels. But is there a new belief or a behavior or a habit that you've embraced or taken on?
I would just say focus. I just am beyond focused right now. And it feels so good waking up super early before everyone else is awake and taking some time to yourself. And, I put this like coat of light around me before I go out into my day. And I just, when an audition comes in, I am shut myself off from the world. And I think, just focusedness. Is that
I don't know. Let's make it up.
Focus.
Focus sounds good. We can make words up. I'm down with that.
Yeah, focusedness.
Focusedness.
Like Charles Silverstein making up words. Great. I I mean, I think so many things. I think my faith is stronger than ever as well, where I'm trying to not worry and, trust the path marked out for me.
Uh-huh.
And I would also say I've narrowed my friend group to the people that really want me to do well and who I want them to do well, and people that were supportive, because, cream rises to the top together. So I'd rather have a few really close friends who we just support more than anything than, any negativity in your life. And I think that's important.
Yeah.
They're your family out here, especially when your family lives in Seattle. Or
I was having a conversation with one of my other guests, and we were having this very, very same point, which is surrounding yourself with people who support
believe in you.
Yeah. Who and you believe in them. It's that symbiotic experience of, kind of birds of a feather, I mean, we thrive off of that. And as much as we thrive off of, or as much as we can be debilitated by negativity and sycophants, we can be elevated by the power and the support and the generosity and the love of people. So my feeling is choose the powerful.
When I got a call, my Ozark call that I got the job, one of my closest people I was with at the time, he started crying. I was like, why are you crying?
Yeah.
He was like, I'm just so happy for you. And then he's on set today working, and I, just when my girlfriends have, auditions, and I love helping them. And one of my best friends is a musician, and she called me yesterday kind of downtrodden about it all. And I was like, you can't quit. He's like, you're good. You can't quit. I won't let you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell me something about yourself that people who know you would be surprised to learn.
Oh my gosh.
You're a Satanist. No.
Yeah, right.
It's all a facade.
This whole thing has been a character
all
I'm
a facade.
developing.
I'm a witch. Yeah.
Exactly. I don't actually exist.
Nothing wrong with being a witch, but go ahead.
Oh my gosh. I don't know, like what do you give me an example?
Well, let's see. Honestly, I've had people say, for example, that who have a personality or a demeanor that is kind and sweet and demure, that don't cross them because they will cut you.
That's scary.
But it's that kind of thing where you occur a certain way in the world with people. And honestly, you're also, it sounds to me to be a person who is working on authenticity and being genuine. As I shared with you, my experience with you was, when I watched you working on Winter Wedding and knew about your backstory with your relationship, and then was watching you perform the character talking about the relationship that she lost in the script, quote unquote.
Oh yeah, I used it.
It was so apparent. It was and it was so genuinely available. So I guess what I'm saying is you don't seem to be a person who is hiding very much, which is awesome and applauded. However, there may be something about you that, you don't share with everybody. That's what I want to know.
Oh my gosh.
Like a weird quirk, a weird habit, something that you do that you're like, I don't usually tell people about this, but
I asked my best friend, I was like, I think Jordan's going to ask me something weird. Like, I can't think of anything. What's something weird I do? And my friend was like, everything you do is weird. Where do I start? I was like, great, thanks. I don't know. I would say people think I can be like a girly girl. And then I think once you get to know me, I will beat you at any sport.
Wow. So you're highly competitive.
Yeah. If you put snow skis on me and we go skiing, I will beat you down the mountain without fail every single time.
and you're a skier because you're from Seattle?
Yeah, I grew up in LA, right? Everyone goes and surfs to the beach. Where I grew up, our parents at 9 years old at 6 a.m. throw us on the ski bus.
Yep.
And we just had to figure it out.
Good luck. Don't die.
Yeah. So I would say things like that, and wakeboarding. I'll beat you at wakeboarding if you can beat someone at that.
You sound like a very dear friend of mine who has a similar demeanor and a look to, like this very sweet, wonderful, kind, like you never would hurt anybody, but you get like into a competitive situation and she will take you out at the knees. And you want her on your team. But she's like kind of little. She's little and like, but she is ruthless.
That's so great. Love her already.
Yes, exactly. No, she's from Washington.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
That's what it must be. The water in Washington.
Yeah. You grew up a little outdoorsy in Washington.
That's what it is. She's from Spokane. Yeah. Even
but
more
like
than
to play
Seattle.
That, oh my God, I've only skied a few times. Like, let's just da-da-da. And then I'm like, toot, 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 toot.
Yeah. Sorry, sucker.
Yes. Sorry. See ya
at the bottom. So is there something about yourself growing up and kind of overcoming what we have to overcome as teenagers and young adults and things like that? There's things about ourselves that we can look back and judge ourselves for as being weak or shameful types of attributes that sometimes can actually become our greatest strengths. Is there anything like that you can think of for yourself? That like a friend of mine who I interviewed said, I used to really be shunned and criticized and put down even by his own father for being sensitive. For having his feelings and would call him a girl and just like put him down. And then you actually listened to his interview.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. And then he, to this day now, getting on the other side of it, experiences what he thought of was a weakness as one of his greatest strengths.
I mean, I relate to him in the way of sensitivity. I think before when I would get hurt, it would just make me so angry. And I would be like, how can someone, whether it was relationally or anyway, I was like, how can someone treat somebody this way? I would, never do that. And then I get so angry about it. And I think now what I've learned is just to step back and say, okay, well, then this isn't for me. And learning that you always have the power to walk away, oh my God, it's better than any superpower you could ever had. And then I've also learned to hone that sensitivity into a way that allows me to have empathy for other people, which makes me a better actor. And I just have so many great girlfriends who, we are able to use that empathy and sympathy with each other to promote each other to do better. I would say that.
I think it's great also what I hear, and I'm always happy that I do hear it because it's so easy from the outside looking in, specifically in our business and in our world, that, when girls get together, look out because they're the worst. They will cut each other down. They will undermine each other. And I mean, Andrea, when I talked to her about Desperate Housewives, and we were talking about the fact that she was on this show where all these big,
she grew up on that show.
That's what I'm saying. And being on that show surrounded by these powerful women and how the press would try to make it out like they were like in a cat fight all the time. And that, it's so refreshing when she shared with me that it was quite the opposite, that you're sharing with me that you have these relationships with women in your life that are supportive, that I don't understand why we as a society,
women are powerful.
Why do we have to make it out that women are going to cut each other off the knees?
Because they're scared of us.
That's it.
Women are powerful, man. I mean, I grew up with a mom who was break the glass ceiling. She used to speak out in the 70s peace sign on top of her wedding cake. I was raised with a mom that was like, you triumph other women. You do not put other women down. And, I think the times in my life where I have memories of maybe not being great at doing that, I look back and it's like the most shameful thing. And then I look back at times when I've triumphed the women around me and it made me a better person. It made me rise. So I think that that's the mistake that's made. When a girl walks into an audition, you look them up and down and you say, oh, I booked it or whatever, and they love me, and try to put them. It's not. Who's going to book it is going to book it. It's like there's no point in causing harm, because my mom always told me it's called the trading stamp theory, and she taught me this as a young girl. She said if you do something mean to someone, sometimes they'll turn around and pass it on to the next person and pass it on. And then spread this grassroots wildfire. She goes, but imagine if you do that with kindness. Like if you're kind to one person, then they turn around and they're kind to another. And so I'm so lucky to have a mother that taught me to have enough confidence in myself that it shouldn't be a competition. It should be a women rising to the top. And I love that movement that's going on right now. And I hope it continues to grow.
I second that. Obviously, from my perspective as a guy, I know it really doesn't matter that much, but I'm incredibly grateful for the movement as well, because I want people to be empowered. I want the other to be empowered. So I want to leave it, because that was such a great final statement on your part, and what you just shared was so awesome. I just thank you, because we are actually almost at an hour, which, like I said, it just like boop blows by. But thank you, because I know you just moved, and you're in the throes of moving across the country, and that's crazy. And I really appreciate your making the time to do my show.
Jordan, thank you. I'm so proud of what you're doing.
Thank you.
Pretty incredible. I've been listening to them. So
cool. Well, I appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your day, and good luck with the rest of your unpacking. And everybody else, thank you so much for listening today, and stay tuned for lots more episodes of Breakthroughs with Jordan Murphy.
Woohoo!
Today's episode is sponsored by Audible.com and Amazon Fresh. Check out those promotional giveaways on the front page of my website. Check out my website at breakthroughswithjordanmurphy.com. Stay connected on Instagram at breakthroughswithjordan and Twitter at Jordan D. Murphy. And if you have a great story to share, as I'm sure many of you do, go to my website at breakthroughswithjordanmurphy.com and shoot me an abbreviated version of your story to my email. I'll give it a read and maybe share a couple of them on the show.